A man went missing by the lake, and his camera captured a weird figure. Is the man alive or dead? And is the figure related to his disappearance? It looks like a usual Friday evening until you meet Gideon by the lake. There are several people beside him. Tom in police uniform introduces the man beside him.
This is John. He, Gideon, and I were classmates in elementary school.
Then Tom introduces you to John.
This is Gideon's assistant.
You look at Gideon, and he nods at John but keeps silent. John's lips quiver when he talks. My younger brother William disappeared by the lake. Please help me find him. Tom points at the items inside the police line.
When we arrived here at 7:30, we saw William's fishing gear and camera tipped over on the ground. Now we can only see 2 photos on the camera. One of them is fish in the fishing net, and the other is a figure in the woods.
You take a closer look at that figure. It's very blurry, but it seems to be a person's back. Tom says,
The divers are searching the lake, and let's search the woods around the lake now.
You noticed that when Tom was speaking, Gideon suddenly covered his ears. You softly ask him, Are you okay? He asks you, Have you heard a strange sound? I only heard Tom speak. Never mind. Then you search the woods with flashlights. John's light moved quickly, and before long you hear him say, My flashlight's battery is low. You walk towards him and hand over yours to him. He speaks with tears in his eyes. Thank you. You continue searching with the flashlight on your phone. The woods are so quiet that you can hear William's wife Linda sob and William's fishing friend Richard walk. All of a sudden, Tom shouts,
This is where the figure in the photo was. Besides looking for William, please also pay special attention to clues like shoe prints.
You search from dark till dawn. When golden light shines through the red glow in the sky, Tom receives a call and lowers his head.
They have salvaged a corpse. It's William. William, 28 years old, owner of a cafe by the lake.
Tom says,
There are several key points of this case. First, William's fishing spot is rarely visited. His cafe is on the other side of the lake, but the fishing spot is invisible from the cafe. Nearly the whole town has heard about the case, but we haven't found any witnesses. Second, the photo of the weird figure has been released to public. Several people have been identified, but all of them have perfect alibis. Third, the forensic team didn't find any useful shoe prints or tire track impressions in that area, and there were no CCTV cameras around the lake. Finally, William died from drowning in this lake, although he's a good swimmer.
Gideon asks, Does he have insurance? Tom replies,
No. And according to William's wife Linda, William worked at his cafe from 1 p.m. to 3:20. Then he drove to the fishing spot, called Linda at 3:30, and told her he had arrived at the fishing spot. His camera captured the weird figure at point C at 3:55, and the fish in the fishing net at 4 o'clock. It seems he still enjoyed fishing at 4 p.m. and fell into lake after 4. Moreover, it takes 5 minutes to walk from point C to point A. If this figure left point C after 3:50, he or she would have arrived at the fishing spot after 4 p.m. and might have pushed William into lake. Should we regard the case as an accident or a homicide?
Gideon covers his ears again. After a while, he gently says, I feel a further investigation is needed. There are at least 2 clues showing this could be a homicide. He turns to you. Do you know the 2 clues I meant? Please tell me your thoughts after 10 seconds. After you utter your answer, Gideon says, First, the photo of the figure has been released to public, and nearly the whole town has heard about the case. But that person hasn't come forward, and it looks fishy. Second, William is a good swimmer. If he had fallen into lake by accident, he should have been able to swim back to shore, unless he was influenced by external force. Tom nods.
Indeed, and in my experience, it's always the husband, but not always the wife. Let's visit this place again.
You arrive at the fishing spot again. Tom deliberately falls into lake and swims back to shore quickly. He stares at the scratches on his arm.
It hurts.
You say, the number of scratches seems to have increased. Tom hesitates.
Cooper was being naughty again, but I still love her.
I thought Cooper was male.
Oh, I meant I love him.
Gideon suddenly points at the woods. Someone's hiding there. You glimpse a figure running from the woods and quickly chase that person. Tom picks up a pebble and throws it at that person. The pebble hits the person's calf and makes the person fall over. You gaze wide-eyed. That's a man you've never seen. Why didn't you shoot him? You ask Tom. Tom smiles.
I prefer to catch him in the least harmful way. By the way, we've just confirmed John has a cast iron alibi, so he can't be the murderer.
Then Tom enters the interrogation room while you and Gideon sit outside and observe. The man caught by Tom is named Brian. He refuses to speak before his lawyer arrives, and Tom talks to Linda first. Linda looks like the heroine on romantic covers. Having long wavy hair and wearing a swing dress, she speaks in a sweet voice. I started as a waitress in William's cafe and married William a year ago. I married him because he had given me flowers every day, but there were no more flowers after our wedding. Does romantic marriage only exist in fairy tales? But I still miss him. On that day, William went fishing because of Richard's invitation. He left the cafe at 3:20 to attend the 3:30 appointment and called me at 3:30 saying that Richard couldn't make it, so he was alone at their usual fishing spot. And as usual, he'd show me the photos of giant fish caught. The cafe closed at 6 p.m., but he didn't come back to help close up. I was at the cafe between 1 p.m. to 6:50. I left the cafe at 6:50, arrived home at 7. Because I couldn't find him at home and his mobile was off. At 7:10, I ran next door and asked John for help. Yes, I've got some admirers, but I don't think it's related to William's death. I suspect our former employee Brian is the murderer. He was caught stealing our money and was fired. I guess he had a grudge against William. Next, Tom interrogates Richard, who dresses in black. I was a regular at William's cafe. William introduced me to fishing, and that fishing spot was his secret base. I have a boutique which was closed on that day. I had planned to go fishing, but when I got the clothing from the courier at 2:30, I spotted some defects. Until 3:25, I was still dealing with it, so I called William to cancel the appointment. I stayed at the boutique and bought a Coke at the grocery store nearby at 4:20. I used new clothing to display shop window until 7:20. Finally, Brian lifts his chin after talking to his lawyer. I had no idea why I stole their money. I did it on impulse and it's nothing. You know, I worked my ass off there. I took orders, washed dishes, and cleaned the toilet. What's wrong with getting some petty cash to spend? Yes, Linda was popular among male customers, and that Richard had a crush on her too. After I quit, I started a hot dog cart business. I was at the cart from 3 p.m. to 3:50, from 4:05 to 7:30 on that day. What? You asked me where I was between 3:50 and 4:05? Don't tell me it's illegal to find a quiet spot to pee. Huh, no wonder you are called the unlucky cop. I bet you a bottle of beer. You'll fail again. After the interrogation, Tom clenches his fists.
I must get rid of the bad name and preserve my family honor. These are the fastest ways to travel between different points. Running from C to A takes 2 minutes. Driving from A to B takes 10 minutes. Driving from B to D takes 10. Driving from A to D takes 15. Driving from A to E takes 20. Lastly, driving from A to F takes 10.
Gideon asks, is it faster to travel by boat between A and B or B and C? Tom shakes his head.
Boats are banned, and the guests at the cafe didn't witness any boats. By the way, I need to meet John over dinner. Would you like to come along?
Gideon bites his lips. No. He turns to you. Let's call it a day. His cold attitude towards his elementary classmate John has aroused your curiosity. So you secretly follow Tom to the restaurant. After Tom leaves, you run to John. John seems surprised, but he remembers you because you gave him your flashlight. After hesitation, he speaks. When we were in first grade, Gideon was short and skinny. One day, a classmate laughed at him and said, "Your mom has run away with another man and you are garbage." Then other classmates started to bully Gideon. They spit on him and threw stones at him. A stone even hit his forehead and left a deep scar. Since then, his uniform and shoes became super clean, but people kept calling him garbage. In 5th grade, Tom transferred to our school. He was tall, strong, and good at playing dodgeball. He stopped the bully and became Gideon's bodyguard. After graduation, they both attended the high school in another area. Tom stayed in touch with us, but we lost track of Gideon. Thinking back, although I didn't bully Gideon, I didn't stop the bully either, so I was an accomplice. You gasp, realizing why Gideon is so mysterious. It's his camouflage. He often sweats on the forehead but refuses to have his fringe cut short, cause he wants to cover the deep scar. His shirts, car, and office are all super clean, cause he doesn't want to be called garbage. And he covered his ears. Maybe he heard someone called him garbage again. He stayed at home when there's no case, cause he has social phobia. At the same time, you feel confused. Tom saved him, but why didn't he tell Tom the truth in previous cases? John sighs. Tom is so nice, he deserves a better girlfriend. Before Sarah became famous, she had enjoyed reading and walking the dog. Then she fell in love with golf, and Tom has spent tons of money on her. But she still threw tantrums and scratched Tom's arm. She's a bad influence on Tom. Next morning, Tom says,
"We've also discovered Linda's and Richard's motive for murder. Several informants have recently seen them date secretly, so they might kill for love. However, their alibis and Brian's alibi have all been verified. I think none of them is the murderer. Linda didn't have an alibi between 6:50 and 7:10. If she'd been to point A to kill William, it would have taken her 10 minutes to travel from B to A and 15 minutes from A to D. In total, it would have been 25 minutes, but she only had 20. Richard didn't have an alibi between 2:30 and 4:20, but it takes 20 minutes to travel from A to E. If he had killed William and traveled back to E at 4:20, he'd have left the fishing spot at 4 at the latest. But according to the photos, William was still fishing at 4. Lastly, Brian didn't have an alibi between 3:50 and 4:05. It would have taken him 20 minutes to travel from F to A and come back, but he only had 15. Tom lowers his head. I guess I'll fail again. No wonder Sarah doesn't want to marry me. Gideon asks, has she decided whom to sign with? Tom replies, no, but definitely not with Megan. Why? We received an anonymous letter and discovered Megan had been cheating. Gideon taps Tom's shoulder. Don't worry, I'll help you. Then Gideon drives you back to his office, asks you to clean the office, and remind you to stay away from the bookshelves. You know he asks you to stay here because he doesn't want you to follow him. After he goes out, you secretly follow him. He parks his car near the lake and walks to the fishing spot. After pressing the button of a stopwatch, he runs from point A to C, picks up something at C and runs back to A. You notice it takes him 2 minutes to run to C and 2 minutes to run back. Next, he runs from A to his car and it takes 10 seconds. You understand he wants to verify the time needed for the weird figure to move from C to A to kill William. But why did he pick up something at C and measure the time needed from A to C? After leaving the lake, he disguises himself in a wig and glasses and tries on many shoes in a shop. When no one is paying attention to him, he lowers his head, looks around, and finally picks up something to put into his bag. Then he stops by Huang's noodle house and orders a bowl of noodle soup. Their business has fallen off a cliff since a guest spotted a rat. You think Gideon is there to see how upset Mr. Huang is, and it means you still have time to uncover Gideon's secrets. You rush back to the office, lock the door, and search around the bookshelves. You find a secret room behind the bookshelves. There are many photos of Mr. Huang and Megan on the wall, and it seems Gideon stalked them. There's also a desk with 2 drawers. You open the top drawer and see some donation receipts of children's foundations. The bottom drawer is slightly open and you see a piece of red cloth. When you are about to open the drawer, you hear car noises and hurriedly move the bookshelves back. Luckily, Gideon is unaware of your act. Several days later, you secretly opened his package and see a lab report saying that the 2 items Gideon sent to them had shared character and had been from the same place. Now you have enough clues to solve the case. How did William die? A. He fell into lake by accident. B. He was killed by Linda. C. He was killed by Richard. D. He was killed by Brian.
Please vote and share your opinion in the comments section below, and information on the answer video is in video description.